Thank you. It works, it works. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Many thanks to the good folks of the Haggin Museum for hosting us tonight. Tonight is going to be a presentation and update on the Stockton Channel Viaduct project. We were here about a year ago when we presented this particular project to the community. Again, thank you. I really wanted to thank you. We're so grateful for you being able to host us in this beautiful space of yours. It is quite a gem. I don't know if everybody can hear me or not, but if you can't hear me, okay. No worries. Hang tight for a minute.
I am so sorry.
My voice won't carry.
Let me make sure I can turn it on.
Okay, all right. I'll wait for a minute. Maybe we'll hang for a minute. Thank you.
These probably work.
Sorry, folks. We'll hang for a minute and see if we can get a functioning microphone. I'm sorry, my voice doesn't carry. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us tonight. My name is Zina Al-Nakal. I am the District 10 Corridor Manager, and I'm the Project Manager for the Stockton Channel Viaduct Project. Thank you very much for joining us tonight as we present to you a project update on the Stockton Channel Viaduct Project. Many thanks to the Haggin Museum for hosting us once again in this beautiful space. Today we're going to, and it's almost been a year that we've been here with you, giving you a little bit of information about this particular project. So hopefully we can give you a little bit of information about what's been happening since last time we met. Let me see if I can do this. There we go. So the purpose of today's meeting is to provide the community and certainly all the stakeholders a little bit of a project update. There's been certainly some schedule changes that have happened. We really do want to further the relationship that we had built, I think, across the last year. We'd like to understand the community concerns. We're going to present you some information. We want to hear some of the concerns that you have, feedback, what it is that you care about. If you have questions, how it is that we can certainly improve the project as we go forward. And we want to provide a community an opportunity to partner with us. This project is certainly going to have a lot of bits and parts, and we really would like to certainly make it your own. So in today's agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about the project update. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that we've been working on, schedule changes, talk a little bit about some of the potential road detours that you're going to be experiencing during construction, give you a little bit information about the acquisition process. There's going to be some impacts to some right-of-way around the project, so we wanted to kind of explain that process as well. We also want to provide ways to partner on this project. This is a really big project. There's going to be a lot of opportunities to partner on it. We wanted to see what are the ways we can do so. And there's going to be a little opportunity for the community to help us pick the project aesthetics. Stay tuned for that one towards the end of the presentation. And this is a rather lengthy presentation. I will try to go through it, and I will try to definitely make ample time towards the end for questions and answers. We can always revisit any slides that you guys may have questions on. So again, my name is Zina Alcalde. I am the project manager. And with us here are quite a few folks from the Caltrans team. Firstly, we have Ruby Maldonado, who is in the back over here. Thank you for standing, Ruby, so you can see her. We also have Sing Chan, also from Right of Way. We also have Mary Ann over here, also coming in from Right of Way. Appreciate you guys being here. We do have Jerry Prigmore, who is the project engineer. We have Antonio Del Pozo, who is our landscape architect. We have Hilda Souza, who is our community engagement program manager. We, I think, are probably joined online by our structures designer, Austin Prince. And I think also online, Vanessa Geringer. Anthony Presto is one of our chief public information officers, and also Skip, who you probably met on the outside table. He is the one actually specifically designated for this project. With us also from the contractor side, from Kiewit, is Greg Nix, and he is sitting about a few seats back over there. And we also have Cameron Fernandez. For the folks that are sitting online, I wanted to let you know that on the engagement portal, right below the video where you may be watching, there is a portion where you can submit questions or inquiries. We will get that email, and we will, if it's a comment, we'll certainly review it. If it's a question, one of us will be contacting you back to answer your questions. Okay, so on with the project update. So a little bit about background in case of those who may have missed it. The purpose and the need of the project was very much to replace the two structures, the northbound and the southbound structures of the bridge that spans the Stockton Channel. Because those bridges, when they were constructed in the 1970s, certainly were built on the 1970s specifications, were very much not intended to last beyond 50 years. So their serviceability has pretty much come to an end. We are supposed to also reconstruct those two bridges in order to allow permitted loads on it. Right now, I think it only carries 5-axle permitted load, and there's much bigger trucks that carry bigger permitted loads. In addition, because it's an interstate, it is supposed to also be able to carry military-grade vehicles as well. And the structure is not capable of doing that. There's oftentimes that detours have to happen, whether it's for permitted loads, and certainly military-grade vehicles are not allowed to utilize this particular bridge. Some of the benefits of this, the replacement of these bridges, number one, to certainly update this bridge. It was built in the 1970s with 1970 standards. Standards have certainly changed drastically in terms of design, in terms of safety. So one of the things that we want to do is certainly update it. As you may have noticed, it has been, you may have noticed that we have had to perform repetitive maintenance on it. It's very much because really its life period is basically has been expended. The other thing was to hopefully improve the configuration of the merging off-ramp. That was one of the things that we were hoping to also improve the operation of this particular facility. And improve a little bit of the operational weave that happens between Highway 4 and I-5. We are going to widen the shoulders a little bit. The shoulders right now cannot actually hold a full vehicle. It's a disabled vehicle. So oftentimes, if one has to utilize it, even if it's one of our maintenance vehicles, we often have to close a lane in order for us to be able to park a vehicle on the shoulder. So we're going to create a little bit wider space for that. You're also going to probably see a reduction in the noise along the bridge, and if you've ever driven it, you probably have felt the bounces as you've driven it, and that certainly does create quite a bit of noise in the area. And last thing, we're going to improve the bridge rating again. This is to improve the permitted loads, and the permitted loads is really to help with being able to transport goods across from south to north or vice versa, instead of having to detour them, a rather lengthy detour. Just again, a reminder of the bridge. The current bridge is the alignment of it looks like this. And the new bridge, once it's replaced, will have a southwesterly shift. So hopefully you see the outline of it. It does look like it's a little bit wider. That is because we are shifting it a little bit and certainly widening the bridge deck itself. So on to the project schedule. So some of the changes in the schedule. We are currently working on the design of the southbound bridge, and we are going to also, in tandem, also work on the northbound bridge design. So the southbound is currently it's slated to be complete about mid-2027. And the northbound bridge, so in the winter of 2027, and the northbound one will probably be completed about the winter of 2028. We are also working on the addendum to the environmental document. Because of the shift and a couple of the minor changes in the design, we were in need of having some additional environmental studies that needed to be completed in order for us to complete the environmental process. So the addendum is slated to be completed September 2025, so just in a few more months. And we are planning on beginning pulling the environmental permits this summer and completing them by next year. So it'll probably take us a solid year or so to be able to complete the environmental, to secure the environmental permits. And lastly, one of the things that we probably talked about but didn't necessarily provide a schedule for last time was there's definitely going to be right-of-way that is going to need to be acquired for the project. We have already started the process of acquiring some of this right-of-way. It is both temporary sometimes, but some of it is going to also be fee acquisitions. So our right-of-way team has begun that process as well, and it will probably take well into the fall of 2027 to complete this. The construction schedule, the one item that is probably new and I don't think we've discussed before is the test pile program. And it's not really a construction item per se, but it's one that you will physically sort of see in when you actually drive around the project. It is actually one of the things that we need for the design process. And I'll talk a little bit more at length as to what the test pile program is. And it's one of the things that we need to help us figure out the depth of the piles as we are dealing with certainly some saturated soils in the area. So because we're going to have some uniquely deep piles for this particular project. So we need to test the soil and those piles for their ability to carry some of those loads. The next item is going to be the Buena Vista overpass. And this is the first actual construction that you will see that will touch the bridge. And this is slated to fall between the fall of 2027 to spring of 2028, and this is sort of maybe a six-month project or so. That is hopefully going to widen or bridge that deck in the middle, the gap between the southbound and the northbound. And then afterwards, we'll move on to the southbound bridge. That includes the demolition and the construction of, and that takes about 3 to 4 years when we will break that particular one into stages, and we'll see a video of exactly how that is going to take place. And lastly, we move on to the northbound bridge, demolition and construction. And with the northbound bridge will come the Pershing off-ramp reconstruction and all the other things that come with it. Talking a little bit about the test pile program. So one of the things that we discovered in the channel is that there are saturated soils. And saturated soils have a tendency sometimes to lose strength. So one of the things that we're going to do is probably use some deeper piles for the bridge. But because we don't typically utilize 200-foot deep piles or 250-foot deep piles, we're going to actually try to test some of those out first. And we're going to have, and these are going to be fairly big, about 12 feet in diameter. So we're going to be testing them and trying to determine the proper length of these particular piles. And the location of them is going to be first in Morelli Park. So you'll see sort of I don't know how to point to the pointer here. But if you can sort of see the two spots, the two red dots, that is going to be a location of each one of the piles that we're going to be testing. Because of us utilizing this particular space, there will likely be some closures around Morelli Park. Some of the parking will probably not be available sometimes. The boat launch itself might also not be available, but it should be a short intermittent closures a lot of times for maximum of 4 months. And that one is slated to begin summer of next year. This is the other location. This is close to Pershing. For those who are not familiar, this is going to take place in Caltrans right away. This is the third test pile that we're going to be also testing. So at the most, probably you might see some minor intermittent closures, potentially maybe a flagger letting a piece of a vehicle in or something to that extent. After that, we go into Buena Vista, and this, as you can see, is sort of just that one segment over here prior to the bridge where we need to basically widen the median. This is going to cause a little bit of a restriction on the southbound lanes. So you'll only have 3 through lanes on the southbound bridge during that particular process. The northbound should not be impacted. Most of the construction will take place really from the southbound and hopefully, but there potentially is going to be some impacts on the local roads. Okay. And after that, we go on to stage 1. This is the actual bridge construction itself. So this is the southbound bridge. We would start with the outside of the bridge, the outside portion of the bridge, the outside half of it. We would demolish that particular half. All traffic would move on to the inside of the bridge. So you will have 3 through lanes on the southbound bridge. Again, the northbound is unimpacted during that time. And we begin to reconstruct the outside portion with that slight shift in the bridge and a little bit wider. So after that, we put the traffic on the new bridge while we demolish the inside portion of the southbound bridge and reconstruct it. Again, the northbound should not be impacted. You should have all the 4-through lanes and the aux lane completely open. And this, as you'll see, will probably be somewhere between the summer of 2030 to the fall of 2032. And the last and final piece of this one is to merge the northbound traffic onto the newly constructed southbound bridge. So you will have 3 through lanes on the southbound bridge, 3 through lanes on the northbound bridge, and the northbound bridge will be demolished in its entirety in one shot and reconstructed. And this is planned to be taking place 2032 to the fall of 2035. There we go. So this is, again, a quick project overview of the staging of the project. Hopefully I did it right. So we'll start right here showing you where we're going to be performing the test pile program. So this is one of those locations. This is the other location over there close to the boat launch area. And that's the other location near Morelli, near Pershing, sorry. And then this is one of Vista over here, so a little bit before the bridge where we performed the median widening. And then after that, hopefully it'll show you the demolition of the southbound bridge area. So it demolishes the outside portion and reconstructs it, while the traffic stays on the inside portion. And then you demolish the inside portion while staging the traffic onto the newly constructed bridge. You widen the bridge, and then after last piece is we put all the traffic on the one bridge and demolish and reconstruct the northbound bridge. Okay. Alrighty, and next I will get this over to, I believe, Jerry. Is Jerry here? All right, you ready to take over? He'll give you a little bit of an update on the Pershing roundabout, along with Antonio, I think. There you go. Sounds good, thank you.
Hi, everybody. There was a meeting a couple of years ago here where we went through the project, and I don't remember if we talked about the Pershing Avenue roundabout at the time. But so this is the existing Pershing Avenue off-ramp from northbound I-5 to Pershing Avenue that empties out here.
Sir, really quick, do you want to check if there's any questions, if folks have questions in general from what has been presented so far from your presentation? Do you want to ask if there's any questions so far? We have a lot of information.
Is it okay if we run through the presentation and take them? We can definitely go back to any screen if you want to. I'm totally okay with that.
Can you just give some more context? It's like the test pile. So I feel like, again, I want to thank Miguel Haggin for leading this promotion of this workshop. I think a lot of folks came here understanding like the roundabout and Pershing.
Yes.
The first part, I'll be honest, I'm still trying to figure out the first part and why it was presented. I think a lot of us came out here to understand about the Pershing exit, which I think we're about to get into. So I think there's questions about like, the test pile, the southbound facing information that some folks may not understand why we're presenting the test pile information.
Okay.
If you can get more clarity on that. The bridge, I think the visuals are great because
Yes.
you did that at the end. But I would understand, at least for me, I don't know if anyone else wants to understand, how this bridge layout connects with the Pershing roundabout update, which I think most of us are here for. But I could be wrong.
So if you want to listen to the Pershing is right now,
Yeah.
if you want to talk about test file, I'm more than happy to take that question too. I wasn't sure which one you wanted right now.
If you did that first part, that would be great.
Test file.
Today there's two different things that are happening right now.
Sure.
And I'd rather get clarity on the test piles. Again, I don't want to assume, but I want someone here understands the test pile
Right.
is, I think who can have clarity, that'd be really helpful.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. So in our Okay,
breakdown
okay.
of the bridge and layout in 2026,
Okay.
2022.
Okay, fair enough. So I'll try to go back to the test pile because it seemed that was the question that you were asking. In our design, one of the things that we were trying to do was to determine what's the best depth that we want to go with the piles that we're going to be driving into the ground for this particular bridge. There is multiple ways to consider it. One way is to put a lot of foundations and a lot of columns or a lot of piers, if you will, for the bridge, or maybe widen those piers a bit and drive fewer of them to reduce the amount of foundation work that we have. One of the things we discovered when we were looking at this bridge, when they were testing the soil quality in the channel is not the best. It has a tendency to absorb a lot of water and get saturated. Once it does that, it has a tendency sometimes to lose strength. So one of the strategies that we consider sometimes is to drive the piers a little bit deeper in than we had originally thought. So one of the things that we decided to do is to try to test how far can we drive it, at what width of a pier are we going to potentially utilizing those piles, how deep are they, or how wide and how deep are we going to do that, to put them, and what load it can carry, right? I'm sorry. Yes. So you have like these really long shafts, right? And then you have a pile over here that's going to be driven in.
Yeah, I don't know what a foundation pile is.
I'm sorry?
So when she talks about a lot of times we think about the column attached to the bottom.
Yeah.
That's not it.
That's not it.
So what we have is this big, huge, massive thing of concrete that goes into the ground.
Into the ground.
It's the structure, it's the foundation.
Yeah.
And then a cap goes on top of that. And then that column, that pier, goes on top of that cap and attaches to the bottom of the structure. So what she's talking about is the below ground stuff.
Okay, so it's not like, how wide is that? Because you were talking about putting that on Pershing Avenue, right?
That's one of the locations we're going to test that. Yes.
How big is that?
I'm sorry.
How wide is that? How big is that?
It's about 12 feet.
And that's gonna go way up in the air, or that's?
No. It's really on
Okay,
the
it's just
ground.
on the ground.
We're trying to test really the soil itself and the strength of the soil. Really, that's what the purpose.
Just so you guys know, we're getting down to that, right? We're just,
Yeah.
there's a strong
Exactly.
foundation, right? And so you take that column all the way down to that. And
Exactly.
the wider you are, you distribute the weight more evenly, right? It becomes a stronger.
Yeah, the foundations here on these pictures are shallow.
Structural engineering stuff.
Exactly.
And so that's what she's talking about.
What's the right measure of taking did that to the area and releasing it to our government?
No.
Any air?
No, it should really be quite a contained type of acid.
Stuff rolling around, I guess, because of the smell, it's really wet and underneath the soil. Can't see it through the soil. I'm concerned about that.
So all of that stuff is going to be monitored, right? Because we have standards, yeah, so there's a package of standard specifications that a contractor has to do, and all of that deals with the quality and noise and all that stuff. So you could have-
Contained to the soil, that's something.
Yeah.
Then absolutely, yes. I'm sorry.
So there's gonna be windows, work windows that happen, and all of that kind of vibration stuff will all be monitored. No, that's.
Hold on.
But these are called CID, these are called cast and drill holes. There's no pile driving, so it's not a typical bang, but you drill a hole, you fill it up with concrete. So there is no vibration like
And
that.
then you load it, and then you just load it into
And
it.
not very much, in very little noise.
Yeah.
All great questions.
Did it answer this question?
It did, obviously moving forward, it might be helpful if everyone shares who they are, and their title would be helpful. I should also, I don't want to do it, my name is Mario Enriquez, I'm the council member of this district, city of Stockton.
Okay.
If everyone else would want to share their titles and who they are, that'd be very helpful. I I appreciate, I didn't answer my question, but I just want to make sure that everyone understands you're going from the bridge, this way, now going to the exit of Pershing Avenue. So as long as people
Yes.
have context and people understand that,
Uh-huh.
I think that's helpful, so I appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, are we okay to move on to the Pershing presentation? Okay. I'm going to hand it back to you.
Yes. Take step by step, this process.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we did mention the roundabout, and this is the reason. Here's I-5, northbound,
Sorry, who are you? Can you
This
introduce
is, we introduced all of us actually at the very beginning of the presentation, but this is Jerry, our project engineer.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely.
Project engineer for roadway, there's a structure project engineer too, and I believe also.
Especially people coming later on, we're not even beginning, so people coming later, we want those introductions. Thank you.
Right, as we said, this off-ramp from northbound to Pershing Avenue is going away, and it's to be replaced by a loop ramp that will loop around and then come into Pershing Avenue from the west side. And in doing that, we've changed the intersection, so our rules require us to then, once we've changed the intersection, our rules require us to, before we go any farther, to say which is the best kind of traffic control to use in this intersection. So we go through a thing called the intersection control evaluation, where and this results in a 24-page report documenting the process, but all kinds of things are compared. Safety, operations, traffic impacts, you name it. And so at the end of this process, the entire project development team came up with, or selected a roundabout for the intersection. So you can see that there will be some realignment. You can see existing Pershing Avenue. You can see there's going to be some realignment, and that's to get the geometry working correctly with the model roundabout. I won't go into the ins and outs and pros and cons of roundabouts here, but there are a lot of advantages to them. What this will also do is make some open space that we are planning on utilizing for, well, I'll let Tony, the landscape architect, talk more about that. But one thing we are planning on doing is utilizing some of the space south of the existing on-ramp Park Street and north of Park Street on the east side of Pershing for stormwater basins. And a little bit of open space here that's too narrow to utilize for that, but it will still be open space. We are planning on accommodating pedestrians and bicycles, as you can see. Once we get out from under the bridge, we'll have a separate sidewalk with landscape buffer and on-street bike lane. And then in order to not have bicyclists have to navigate the roundabout, there's an exit they can use, and this becomes a multi-use path for pedestrians and bicycles until we get up towards Florida Avenue, and then what we do there is still working on. Same thing on the southbound Pershing on the west side. We have a shared use path, and then once we get away from the roundabout, it becomes a sidewalk and on-street like that. Wasn't really prepared to talk about the roundabout, so I'm not sure if I've forgotten anything that I need to talk about.
I think there's some renderings.
Yes, yeah. So you can sort of see it, yeah. And Antonio, our landscape architect, will talk a little bit more about some of what you will see in those renderings.
So I'm Antonio Del Pozo. I'm landscape architecture here in Stockton office. So this is kind of my baby, this project, and got a design team we're working with and coordinating with some other people. But yeah, I'm sort of the main point here. So I'm gonna just kind of bring you into what the roundabout is going to look like and feel like. So these are some aerial renderings that we kind of developed to water restrictions and also because of maintenance. But we are aware that the community is very interested in getting as much vegetation as possible, so these are all things that are being considered right now. And then these are just more views. This is kind of looking back at the bridge, and see how the pedestrian access goes there, and kind of another close-up detail.
Question. Let's go back to the slide. That pink magenta section, just for everyone to understand, can you give the actual locations? Is that northbound? And then we're looking at the east side?
Yeah,
Can you
so-
give the actual directions of each of the three?
Yeah, sure. So you can kind of see the new alignment of the Pershing off-ramp is going to be now moving around and then connecting to the roundabout. And so what's going to happen is that has to lower the grade. They're going to have to build a giant.
So that's north and then go east, far away.
Yeah, so you can kind of make out maybe this is a better reference line. This is the existing on-ramp or the northbound on-ramp from
From the top right, what is that? We're looking straight arrows at north, east,
That's
west.
right, so we're looking down, if you look through the bridge, you'll see kind of the grain silos in the background, so I think we're pretty much on Pershing, looking south. And this one is basically the opposite over there, so you're looking back from the south to the north, so.
Anything on the left side where all the grass is, are there homes there now?
There are not, no. There's, we're working all within the existing right of way. So basically, these are going to be freed up once the like overpass, that is existing, it's like a giant mound here now, so it's definitely going to change the way the space feels and functions. And we're still trying to feel out what the best application is for here, because we have some ideas, but we need to kind of vet it out through both the community and through the other departments.
That's what I was just thinking too. What is your guys' plan for, like, having a blank spot of dirt? Because you guys do a horrible job at having, like, that kind of thing and mitigating homeless people, and now you're bringing that into a neighborhood.
Understood. It's a very challenging situation, and there's a lot of influences that will determine. Obviously, there are requirements to maintain the water from the runoff of any new road surfaces. So, I don't know, as a plant person, a landscape architect, I'd like to see something a little bit more ornamental in these areas. But obviously, I'm not the only determining factor. So, we are in the process of kind of feeling out where that goes. Some ideas are, potential for a passive use park, if that's something that the community has buy-in to, because obviously we do not want to create spaces that are going to be inviting unintended users. So that is very much a concern and probably one of the biggest challenges that we face.
I just have one quick question. So the survey you're talking about is a catch basin. Will that remain Calhoun's property or is that under the jurisdiction of the city?
That will all be within Calhoun's property. So that's why we kind of have to, follow the feedback that we get from the other
So
units.
then you'll deal with the homeless issue and you'll
I believe so, and,
We do have it in our maintenance office that usually it is, some of the persons that are experiencing homelessness. So, yeah, we do have.
Is this being live streamed?
It is.
It is. Can you also, can you speak on the mic, so that everyone can hear you on Zoom?
Of course.
I just want to make sure that anyone speaking, have the mic, so that if this is on Zoom, it should be recorded, we should hear your voice.
It is on YouTube and it is being streamed right now. Yeah.
Well, I want to make sure we can hear your voice.
This is the microphone actually that uses me. Understand? Okay. Sure. Absolutely.
How will local access be maintained specifically on Pershing, Fremont?
Pass the mic. So we can hear on
Sure.
Zoom. For accessibility,
Say one more time, please.
I was asking how will local access be maintained specifically at the Pershing, Fremont intersection as well as both exit ramp and on-ramp?
You have pedestrian access back here.
I just mean like car access back there.
So this will,
During the project.
during the project, I'm not super familiar with that stuff.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yes. Yes. We'll talk actually about some of the detours and the road impacts.
And I
Local road
understand
impacts.
you guys are
Yep.
very concerned, and we, very much value your guys' input and feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And what what I'm trying to avoid is, obviously unsightly areas and areas that create, opportunities that you're not interested in having.
Good questions, good questions.
Okay.
Anthony, just real quick, just so everybody's clear, 'cause I've talked to you, Dean, and a number of other people about this. They're not adding any open space. The open space is already there. It's where the homeless have burned out palm trees and all the bushes are all destroyed. It's actually going to be improved over what it looks like today, once they're finished with it.
Thank you for that support.
You are not adding any open space, is what I'm trying to get.
Well, so there is some flexibility in how this gets used, but like I'm saying, so what I'm trying to avoid is having a detention basin with a giant fence around it. I feel like that's not very inviting to the neighborhood as well. So obviously we have some work to be done and some figuring out to do, and I don't want to make this decision, independently. So, hopefully with our aesthetics committee and other community feedback, we can help direct that. So, okay, Miguel.
I'd like to just provide feedback for your residents in that lifestyle space. I still want to encourage tree planting, but also accountability. Food bars, great activation where people come out and get the venue there or wherever they choose. Something that just activates them to express them.
Agreed, and that is ideally what we would like to do. So, obviously, we want to get feedback from the community. Is that something that you guys think is a viable opportunity, or are we creating sort of a invitation for trouble? So yes, we will be in further communication with you guys, and maybe we can set up some sort of survey to get public feedback or something like that. Because I really do.
I'll take the last question, and I'm gonna, because I really want to get back to the question that was asked earlier about the detours and the local road impacts. We want to get to answer, but I'll take the one last question before we move on.
Very briefly, I believe that not about one capacity vehicles are approaching the same speed. Currently parked and just leaving them and merging, or you be changing speed limits.
That is not our expertise. Sherry, you want to talk about it?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Is it roundabouts won't pass when vehicles approach them from the same speed? You've got two streets with different speed limits.
I don't think there are any plans to, and this is kind of this is an area of coordination with the city traffic department. I don't think there are any plans to, at least with this project, change the speed limit on Pershing. I know the city has expressed interest in the future for a road diet, reducing the number of lanes. But for right now, what we're doing is going to conform with what's out there now, which is the 4-lane Pershing Avenue. Again, I don't know of any change to speed limit on Pershing. As far as different speeds on Pershing and on Park Avenue, the roundabout kind of takes care of that, because all users, whether they're coming from Pershing or from a side street, have to slow down to
Enter.
25 miles an hour. Really, what affects roundabouts more is if you have a really big road and some really small side roads, like a highway and a non-highway. But for this, I don't think speed differential is going to be a problem, because of you can see how the geometry slows traffic down, and then the entry to the roundabout slows traffic down also. If you still, I imagine there's lots and lots of questions about roundabouts in general and this one in particular. So please send those questions our way. I don't think we can get to them all tonight, but we have lots and lots of material and a lot of explanations about roundabouts.
And how they function. Yep. Okay, maybe advance to the next one. And
Yeah, so just some additional views here, as you can see, just further kind of help you visualize. But yeah, I don't want to take up too much time. I know we still have quite a bit to go, so yeah, that's it for
Okay.
now.
All right.
All right. Thank you. I'm Greg Links. I'm the project manager for the contractor Kiewit. I'm going to talk to you just a little bit really quickly about some of the why you're going to see some impacts on local roads, right? Just so you understand a little bit about the construction. Dina talked to you about what we're going to build. Jerry's going to talk to you in a minute about what the workarounds are going to be. I'm just going to give you a contractor's point of view of why we're going to mess with your world a little bit on some of these local roads. So the first thing that has to happen is we have to demolish the existing bridge, right? And Dina explained to you that's going to happen in stages, 3 stages. So we come in and demolish stage 1 and to make room to build stage 1. And then we do the same thing in stage 2 and stage 3. So you can imagine demolition is going to happen over the existing roads, right? It's over Weber and over Persian in Fremont. So at times there's going to be intermittent work that's going to happen over the roads or near the roads. And so that's going to impact traffic, it's going to impact, your world, and obviously we're going to try to minimize the amount of impact that happens. But, these are pictures from other demolition jobs that we've done. You can see we're going to have to demolish concrete, we're going to have to take down steel. This next picture, the picture there on the left, is a very similar bridge where we had to take down steel girders. We pick them in the biggest pieces possible, set them down on the ground. Well, if it's over the top of the road, we're going to have to set those steel girders down on top of the road, which means that cars aren't going to get through for a period of time until we can get them out of the way, right? So these are the types of impacts that you'll see from us. Obviously, we're always trying to minimize them and shorten the amount of impact or the duration of the impact that you're going to see. And then we have to build a new bridge. And again, the new bridge goes over those same local roads. Even where it doesn't go over, we're going to build immediately adjacent to the roads, sidewalks. I think there's even some locations on Fremont where we're building new columns or detours in the middle of the road or in the median, right? And so we're going to have to move traffic around. In some cases, we might have to detour traffic that Jerry's going to talk about. But that's why you will be impacted. But again, we're going to try to minimize all of that. Dina talked about some work that we had to do at Buena Vista. Buena Vista, we're going to widen that overpass that's there, the existing overpass on I-5. So we have to put up false work to support the work that we're doing up above us because we're pouring new concrete. The same thing with where we're working over Fremont, Pershing, and Weber. The bridge in those locations is all cast-in-place concrete. So we have to put up formwork and false work to support the cast-in-place concrete. This is what it looks like. So you can imagine in some cases, we put up towers, we put up timbers to support the work above us. In some cases, we might build tunnels, if you will, for cars to go under the work. But again, there will be times where you will be impacted. This is Buena Vista. This is what Buena Vista might look like. So we are intending for the Buena Vista work to close Buena Vista temporarily, for an extended period of time, right? We said 6 to 8 months. Sorry, permanently was the wrong word. Temporarily for an extended period of time while we do that work and detour traffic around it. And then for Weber and Pershing and Fremont, it's the same thing. The work happens in 3 stages. Stage 1 is the yellow. We come in, we demolish the existing bridge or that portion of the existing bridge. Then we build that portion of the new bridge, and we go to stage 2 and stage 3. So we're working right over the top of Weber. So there's going to be periods of time when we're going to have to detour traffic around that work. And the same thing with Fremont and Pershing. We're going to come in and do staged work, 3 different stages, and there's going to be periods of time where there will be intermittent closures or intermittent detours, short term hopefully, so that we can do our work more efficiently and as safe as possible for you as well. Fortunately, Jerry, you'll see the detours that Jerry talks about. They're not very long detours, they're not very far detours, so I think the impact will be minimal. That's you, Jerry.
Thanks, Greg. And Greg did a good job of explaining the why and the wherefore, why these traffic impacts happen. So I'll just go through briefly what the detours are going to look like. And for the sake of time, we'll be brief, but again, you on the slides that follow, we're going to show you in red the portion of closed ramp or closed roadway. Blue are the streets that we are seeing as the logical alternate routes, and yellow shows the direction of traffic taking it. So again, we're talking about the Buena Vista closure shown here. We need to close the gap between the two bridges because during future traffic staging construction, there's going to be times when we need to cross traffic right through there. So we have something for them to drive on. Detours, alternate routes aren't limited to what we're showing here. These are just what us, given what we know about the local streets, the alternate routes that make sense. Anybody is going to be free to take any alternate route way to look at the best. But these are suggested ones, and there might be signing.
Do you know that local traffic that we're using, what's that? What's the line traffic country or?
That's a good question. I don't have those numbers at the top of my head, but our traffic, our freeway highway ops group and our planning group did get all of those traffic numbers so that we could provide them along with these pictures here. We could put numbers to these alternate routes, and we have given those to the city traffic department because they need to communicate to the city council and to the people in the city what the impacts are going to be.
And we're going to call the question is that with the increased traffic, is there any, I remember previously there was discussion that a lot of our roadways are crumbling in this particular area. Is there any way we have to respond to complete that there's some plans repairs to the crumbling neighborhood streets?
That's a standard part of projects like this where we have increased traffic, or say where we have a street where we're going to have to actually have construction traffic on, like on Weber Avenue on the west side of the freeway. Yeah, we have to put that map into good repair. So that's part of what we have to do. Okay, so yeah, the first work for the project would be Buena Vista. During stage one, that connector that goes from southbound Lake Drive to eastbound State Route 4 will need to be closed. That half of the bridge will be in construction, so they're not going to need access to that anyway. So that's a closure that will require utility on the charter bank, and that will get placed over 3 years. That won't affect traffic that's already on State Route 4 through traffic going east or west. The impact is just that ramp right there. Okay. In the Fremont Cushing area, these are closures that will happen. A few things to say about this. We're showing all of the closures that have happened, but that doesn't mean those are all going to be closed at the same time for the duration of the project. Some of these are intermittent. For example, the on-ramp from Fremont to southbound is going to be closed over stages 1 and 2, but the off-ramp from Fremont will only be closed from stage 1, and then it will open up again. I also want to point out that we show Fremont being closed from here to through the intersection.
Jerry, can you come closer to here? Online folks are having a hard time hearing us, I think.
Oh, sure.
Let's stand closer to here. Stand closer to this. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, I kind of looking at something. Sorry about that. I just wanted to point out that Fremont Avenue from the very left side of where we show it all the way to the intersection, that's only going to happen over about a 2-day period in 2035. And that work, we plan to do that outside of business hours, like at nighttime. And that's just for repaving and restriping. And that's true of all the businesses along Fremont Street. Obviously, these closures are going to impact the traffic and are going to have some impact on these businesses. But at no time are we going to block access to these properties unless it's, again, like over a 1 or 2 night period. So you can see here we have closures of Pershing and Fremont under the bridge, and there are going to be times when both of those are closed. There's going to be times when one or the other are. It's just, again, it's intermittent. It's constantly changing. So. Okay, here we are on the south side of the channel, and we have Weber Avenue underneath the bridge. That's mostly going to impact the businesses on the west side of the freeway, and they'll still have access, but they will have to detour maybe down to Church Avenue as shown here. Again, that's an intermittent closure, so it will only be during certain stages of the work, and we are going to try to maintain access to the Morelli Park boat ramp as much as we can. Okay, if you kind of look down in the corner, those 2 little red things, you can see where we talked about the northbound I-5 to Pershing Avenue off-ramp. That's getting demolished. And to the left of that, there's the existing Pershing Avenue to northbound on-ramp, which is going to be replaced, kind of in the same place it is now. So for part of the time where we've demolished that off-ramp, we will have a temporary ramp in place, but there are going to be some times when we won't be able to have that temporary ramp operating, and so the detour shown here will have to be used. Instead of that off-ramp, traffic will have to go up to Monte Diablo or Country Club. And here we have Pershing Avenue, which this is the closure that will take place when that entire street is redone, realigned, the roundabout is built, and you can see that, you know, the portions of Oak and Park and Flora that are right next to it, you know, they won't have access to it. But again, there will be access. I know there are some, I believe, school and some businesses on the west side of Pershing, and they will be able to still have access from Flora Street. So there are impacts, but we can't just cut off access to any home or business, so we won't be doing that. All right, here we have, during stage 1, we have southbound I-5 to eastbound Route 4. That closure also is only going to actually happen over about 48-hour period, continuously, the whole 48 hours while we build access to that ramp. The other 2 that you see, which are eastbound State Route 4 and westbound State Route 4 going up to northbound I-5, those will be closed for pretty much all of stage 3 intermittently, so 3 years. And the detours for those are down to, again, Charter Way, Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, and then back up to Route 4. So here's a summary of the impacts that we've talked about, just put in tabular form. Most of this you've already seen in previous slides. We've talked about the stages and what work will be done during the stages. talked about the local road impacts. We talked about the freeway impacts, how I-5 will be reduced to 3 through lanes in both directions for parts of the project. Something added here are some general impacts as far as noise and vibration, and also pedestrian and bicycle access. We talked a little bit about that, but during the construction, we do have to maintain travel paths for bicycles and pedestrians. So whether that means an alternate route or whether that means building, like Greg said, a tunnel under the structure work, one way or another, we have to make sure bikes and pedestrians still have access. Almost forgot before I'm finished, one thing we haven't really mentioned are truck detours, and there will not be any trucks detoured onto streets where trucks aren't currently allowed. So you're not going to see heavy trucks coming down into the neighborhoods. Wherever they're not allowed now, you're not going to see them. So trucks will have to continue on to the north or south to the nearest truck routes. Okay, that's it for the traffic detours and impacts. Okay.
This is great. I love the visual. I want to make sure that while our local streets get impacted, that when we love to see how this is all said and done in 20 years, but we get some kind of care on our roads, our local roads, just so we can consider. If our roads are crumbling, and who knows get there when we get in that time frame.
Yeah, we recognize that not only from things like construction and truck traffic, but just the fact that a higher volume of normal traffic is going to accelerate wear on the local streets. So we have to address that. So, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
I want a clarification. I know you said no more big trucks on the side roads. I live right on Hickory, so.
On what?
Hickory Drive. And
Yes.
we already have like big trucks going back and forth with the construction of the pool and stuff.
Okay.
So I want to know what, if Hickory Drive is going to be affected by big trucks.
Large over-the-road trucks, this might go more to the city and what they allow and what they don't, but there are not supposed to be heavy trucks on that street at all. Large trucks are allowed to exit onto Pershing and the Fremont and to get back on, but they're technically not allowed to be going down the street. They're not. Sometimes they have to exit and then enter for one reason or another, but regulations don't allow them to go up into the neighborhood of Pershing Avenue. So if they're doing that now, that's kind of a separate issue, but we're not. Right.
But if we have licensed trucks on top of that, I won't be at the same time, then we also have a fire station right here that goes back and forth, so it's a lot for us who live there.
Sure.
So we have the city council right here, and I'm sure he's gonna pass that on, right, to the local PD and all that. And
Yeah.
make sure, that gets monitored. That's a great comment, thank you.
What's it?
What was the relationship?
Very good question. My involvement is kind of with the technical side of things, the design, the plans, and all that. So my point of contact is Dodgy Bedad with the City Traffic Department. We have, and I should let you speak more to this, but just from my side of things, again, being more on the technical side, we are every time we update our plans, every time we reach a milestone in our plans and our design, we share that with the city roads department, traffic engineering staff. It's a constant back and forth. Every time we have something, an update, we send this to the city, say, please comment on this? Does this work? Do you like this? Do you have suggestions? And yeah, they have lots of comments for us, like pages of them, and then we go through and we address those one by one. So by the time we're done with the project design, we have a final project. The city engineering and traffic staff will have had lots of input on it. We really want to be good partners.
Jerry, and I've had this conversation with town council already, and the city council knows me very well. Speaking about problems on Pershing Avenue, both with speed and overland long haul trucks. We are actually approved for long haul trucks going through the neighborhood from I-5, the exits there, to Willow, and then they go right down residential street on Willow to access Haggin Way for deliveries, etc. They're not supposed to be overnight, in other words, extended cabs. There are restrictions on those trucks. However, they're still 80,000 pounds. And I guarantee you, all the homes that live on that stretch, including Picardy, which suffers from it, their homes are rattled, shaken, walls are cracked, there are problems. And if we increase that truck traffic over what it already is, it's going to be a significant problem. I've talked to Dodgy about this. I've talked to city council about it. I would strongly encourage the city and Caltrans to get together to put them down commercial routes like El Dorado or March Lane, other access points to get into town instead of encouraging more coming to our neighborhoods. Because I have cracks in my wall. I know that Julie has cracks in her wall. There are a number of us that have had structural damage from 80,000-pound trucks coming through in the middle of the night doing 45, 50 miles an hour. They don't care. And we get 30,000 cars a day on Pershing Avenue. So anything we can do to mitigate that into our neighborhood would be helpful. And I encourage the city council to talk to our engineering department about what we can do to reduce the number of over-the-road, big rig, long-haul truckers coming through our neighborhoods. It's a problem.
Okay. Appreciate you bringing it up. If you look at our truck maps, that's a situation that we're not supposed to be accommodating. So if that's something that's happening anyway, then yeah, that's something that.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to traffic enforcement to get out there, and back when we had a different sergeant that was running the motorcycle units and stuff, they'd get out there and they'd actually cite these truckers for being oversized and off the trip to get a truck route because they didn't continue and go across Smith Canal onto Marsh Lane. So they're using Pershing as a shortcut instead of its intended purpose, and that is to supply retailers and vendors on Haggin Way and back in the community of our neighborhood, not to go all the way to March and Hammer and use Pershing as that shortcut when they don't let city traffic on my line. It is a problem for the city, is what I'm saying, but if there's anything that Caltrans in this whole process and who it can do to get cooperation with the city to try and mitigate it as much as possible, the neighbors would really appreciate it. Because we'll have 10 years essentially of a problem.
Thank you for your comment, Dan. I do appreciate it. We definitely do communicate with the city often. I'll tell you, we are sometimes limited in what we have jurisdiction over on city right-of-way. So we are more than happy to relay what your comment is. But I think we do have sometimes, restrictions, I think, of what it is that we can do
You
ourselves.
guys have a right-of-way that you're responsible for.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's why we don't have a stop sign at the bottom of that office.
Yeah.
It's because that's the city's responsibility and they refuse to do it. That being said, I've for 4+ years, along with another community member sitting in this room, have been at city council meetings to the point when I stand up and talk, they can almost assuredly expect me to say something about Pershing Avenue at city council meetings. So, I mean, it's gotten to the point where it's uncomfortable living in the neighborhood sometimes because of the problems. Whatever we can do from a structural standpoint to discourage the trucks coming off of I-5 into a residential neighborhood, that would be helpful. I think the roundabout's going to help hopefully, but we'll see.
Yeah. Go ahead, please, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just share really quickly. I just want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank Caltrans. I know this is a really tough situation in terms of just the research, the funding, and I know we're both in different predicaments when it comes to Caltrans and state lands versus citywide. I would say, moving forward, I want to be able to share that. I want to work with all of you. I'll be honest, I haven't had a relationship with either of you or any Caltrans in the 6-7 months that I've been in office. So when you talk about a relationship with the city of Stockton, it has not included me, and I represent this area. So I just want to be frank and honest that I had not any approach whatsoever. But I will give my business cards and my cell phone and my email right here. So Caltrans and you all have my information. So when it comes to future relationships, with me, it has not happened. So I want to be very clear that, again, I want to work with you all. And when it comes to transparency, accessibility, again, just my feedback, you all saw right now, you all had to step in. I would say provide 3-4 microphones, because if people are giving comments, we want people here on Zoom to hear and listen. And again, it's just a good run of show, and especially when it comes to a statewide organization like Caltrans, I think we expect a little bit better, and that's not me being disrespectful. I would just say the fact that you are making it accessible, please provide more avenues of microphones, comments, feedbacks, follow-ups, transportations. If there's PDFs, PowerPoints, please send in my way. I'm sure Miguel, others will want to share that. As I'm sure you have also shared. That's great. Give us accountability as well as the city. But I have not been included in these conversations in the last 7 months. So moving forward, I just want to say that as chair of the legislative committee, you're right. You all bring a really good point, and to Dan's point about truck routes, that is something that we want to explore as a ledge committee in terms of what routes the city of Stockton, in terms of trucks, can exit anywhere throughout the city, and that's something that we do want to look into our August ledge committee meeting, because again, this is a residential community. You all know that, you all have advocated for it, and you all have given really great displays of what this community can look like. So I want you to know that I do appreciate what you all do, because this is a lot of work. It's a lot of funding that you all do on a state level. So I want to be a partner with you, and I just really appreciate all the research that you all do. So please know that that's where I come from. But the next steps, it's all on us. So if you want to have 3, 4, 5 other community meetings, let's do it. I'm happy to do that, and anywhere in the district. When we give specifics, let's lay it out, what it means, if north, south, east, west, etc. The funding it costs, who's paying for what, and whatever you need from the city of Stockton, any accountability you need from us, next steps, ledge committee, policy, accountability, building consensus with my colleagues. I'm happy to work with them to convince them to say that, hey, Caltrans is here with us, they're providing X amount of dollars, and we have to do the next step to front the money as well. So please know that you have a partner in me, and I just appreciate all of you for having this workshop. So I will leave my business cards, my cell phone, my email, and I'm also happy to answer any questions alongside these fabulous people that do a lot of hard work. So thank you.
Absolutely, thank you very much, and we will likely take you up on that offer, because very much we would like to have this conversation with the City Council in the near future as well, because there may be many that like to have this project update as well. It's nearing 7 o'clock, and I do want to honor finishing the presentation, and I do see some questions. I will definitely get to you, I promise. But I would like to at least get going through the presentation. And so right now we're going to have a quick right-of-way update. We'll be joined by Ruby Maldonado from our right-of-way office, and she'll be talking about the right-of-way process. And Ruby, maybe over here and close by to this microphone.
Perfect. Hi. Hi, everybody. My name is Ruby Maldonado. And give me 1 second here. Okay. Perfect. Okay. And I work for Right-of-Way, and I am specifically in the Right-of-Way Acquisitions branch. Now, for those of you who don't know, basically what Right-of-Way does is we buy and we rent land. We do other things as well. Let me go to the next slide here. Perfect. Yeah, so we buy and we rent land. So when the project development team meets, sometimes for projects they determine that they need additional land, and that's exactly what we do. How the process works is if you are in private And if we need to buy a piece of your land or some of your land, you will be contracted by our appraisal branch. That would be the first step. You would be receiving a notice of decision to appraise letter via certified mail. And at that point, the appraisal branch would reach out to you to work through the appraisal process. Once the appraisal is completed, the next step is the acquisition. So basically, anybody impacted would be getting a first written offer package with the amount or the compensation amount showing on there. And the other things that we also do with right-of-way is utility relocations and clearance and demo. And basically, sometimes when we buy some of the land from the public, there are improvements on the properties. So there's sometimes utility poles, or sometimes there's like sheds on it, and our utilities team, they coordinate with utility companies to relocate the poles or whatever's there, or underground telephone lines. And then the clearance and demo part is if there's like a shed that needs to be demolished, we enter agreements with a contractor to help us demolish that. Let me see. Here in this slide is a mapping of the areas that we are that are going to be impacted by the project. So anything that you anything that is in orange, it would be a permanent right-of-way acquisition. That means that Caltrans would become the owner of that piece of land. Now, for the temporary construction easement, you will see it in yellow, and those basically, in a nutshell, they're kind of like a rental. We approach you to have access to that piece of land for a certain period of time, and we compensate everybody fairly for it. We use market value to come up with the compensation amounts. And then you will see in pink, those are the temporary aerial crane easement areas. And from what I understand is basically a rental that we're going to acquire from the owners to park equipment or cranes, basically.
I'm going to be able to swim also. So it's
Okay.
So it's in the air, really. It's not on the ground.
Okay, so they're right, okay. And let me see. Here is the same information but different area. This is for the north channel, and this last part, or the last slide is for the south channel. And here we do have a list of the property owners that will be impacted by the project. And right on that target start of appraisal process, it gives you a rough idea of when we anticipate the appraisal process will start. And due to the nature of our work, that is subject to change, but that's what we're aiming for at this moment. Yeah, absolutely. Right there? Okay, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Did you need a little bit of? Yeah. So there's, that's one of the pages, and then here's the other slide showing the additional parcels that we plan to acquire for this project. And all the way on the right side, you're going to see what type of requirement we will acquire, or we're going to pursue. So here you'll see B, TCE. So B once again stands for permanent, and then TCE is more of a rental.
Temporary construction.
Yeah. Okay, and that is all of the information that I have here. I did bring some pamphlets and booklets that go over the right-of-way process. If you have any questions about the right-of-way process itself, I did bring business cards, and I can happily provide them to whoever wants one, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you might have, and if I directly can't answer that, I will find somebody who will be able to answer that question for you. Yes?
What's the detail of demolition underneath? As those businesses, there's actual businesses that are actually making, right?
Yes. I don't know the answer to that, do you know?
So we are going to definitely be demolishing all those prior to construction. Construction is going to begin around 2027. So all of those are going to be demolished by that time. We are beginning to already look at some relocation of some utilities. And we're also have begun to secure our demolition contract in order to begin that process. The process is a little bit lengthy for the demolition contract. If we could have it today, at least for the airspace lease pieces that we actually happen to own, we would do it tomorrow. But it's a bit of a lengthy process until we actually get to it. So all of it needs to be completed. The acquisitions need to be completed before being able to secure, construct the southbound bridge. Same thing for the northbound bridge when it comes to the northbound bridge. It is part of the compensation package. If there's something that, if they're eligible for relocation, they will definitely be compensated for that.
There's a question over here.
Yes? Uh-huh. Yeah.
But you're, so my question is pretty much like, if someone owns that business, or owns the property,
Yes.
their business is running.
Uh-huh.
I know you guys work with the property owner.
Yes.
Like, there was, there's no other businesses, how are they gonna fit to relocate, and relocate, especially if they've been there for a couple of days?
So you're saying it's not marked for impact on the map? Well, and it probably means we don't need it for the project. It can continue to exist. We will ensure access is always available to that business. We tried as much as possible to minimize impacts to business as much as we could. So if we could just make it like a temporary acquisition, we tried to go for that. But if we don't need it, we will not touch it, and they can continue operating.
Is there any question we have to business owners?
Yeah.
Besides the property owners? The business owners are kind of underneath the property owner, as far as relocating.
So for right-of-way appraisal processes and acquisitions, it will exclusively be the ones that we actually need right-of-way from. Other property owners, we have actually reached out to the Chamber of Commerce and made presentations there before. But if there are specific folks that you think we ought to be reaching out to, please let us know. We've gone through the Chamber of Commerce because we thought they had a pretty diverse group of membership. Yeah, absolutely. But if we need to do that, please let us know. We're more than happy to do so. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the next portion of the project. And yes, sir?
The business she's talking about, I only look at that hole. His building is right underneath the...
Okay, sure. Yes.
And I'm concerned about mine, I've been with it for 6 months. And what I was told last was that if I heard that they launched that business,
So are you actually in one of Foley's?
I'm the contractor. I've been working for 6 years now.
Okay.
Maintenance and street control. And I'm gonna be out of job, but I don't know when.
Okay.
So now I'm gonna be telling that I don't have that living.
Okay.
One of the tenants is right here. She's got combined fitness.
Okay.
Herself. So, I mean, which is what? I mean, I'm gonna be out of job. The building's gonna be gone. Anytime right now, the windows is dead.
Can I actually direct you to speak to our right-of-way agent over here for a little more details about the Foley property, because it is one of the airspace leases mentioned earlier this afternoon.
I'm getting answers from him, and I've been with him, so I don't know what I'm gonna be doing for a job. That's my concern. That's why I'm here right now.
I understand. So again, I'll direct you to her. It is an airspace lease, which means it's the state of California owns the land.
Okay.
He basically constructed the improvements on top of it, and he leased it out. So we are basically, and he had a lease from us, so we're terminating the lease.
Other buildings that you have around.
I'm sorry, say that one more time?
Because he's leasing from you guys, so that's your property.
Correct.
And then it's different from other buildings that surround that.
Yes, we own the facilities that he improved. I think there was another airspace lease that also we own as well. So yes, those, we are terminating the lease, and we're going to be demolishing those facilities. And there, as Ruby showed you, the appraisal and acquisition process, that's what we're going to go through with Mr. Foley and others.
Do you know what's the time frame on that when it gets submitted in Sacramento?
The schedule, I don't know if we brought it up to that level of detail, but I think we only brought you the first rate offer. If you want to know the details about maybe CTC meetings, please talk to Ruby and she will give you that detail. We did not present it in the presentation today.
When you go back one slide, right?
Yes?
There you go, it's the top.
The airspace lease? Yeah. Yeah. So the first rate offer should be coming out soon.
And I think there might be some confusion because you said it wasn't shown on the map. It probably isn't shown on the map because
It's a Caltrans property. It's a Caltrans, so we, okay, this way? Yeah, we own the land. He just made the improvement on top and we have a lease together. So we don't consider it an acquisition because we own the land and that's why it wasn't marked out. Yeah, but Ruby did try to kind of point it out over here. It's just Caltrans by the way. I hope that makes sense now. So if you have, certainly the details of the lease is with the leasee. So we're going to have to kind of work with that person. Okay, project partnerships, and I want to see here. All right, and folks, Hilda is our community engagement person over here, and she's going to talk a little bit about the Aesthetics Advisory Committee.
Good evening, everyone. So a year ago when we came here for our public meeting, we put a call out for community members who wanted to be part of our Aesthetics Advisory Committee. We want to have input from the community about how some of these potential aesthetic elements in the project could look, and we wanted to get that information from our local community. We had a total of 10 members. Some of them are present here, and I want to thank them for all their time. We've been working together for about 11 months now, meeting pretty regularly to get input on some of these aspects. And the goal of this committee was really to solicit these recommendations from the group on how these aesthetic elements could look in your neighborhood and the components where they could be implemented. So we do have members also from our Caltrans maintenance, which will be basically charged with upkeep and maintaining any of these elements that we implement and other functional units from Caltrans as well, so that what we put in place is actually a doable project. So we were able to get a lot of ideas, and we have now narrowed it down to 3 themes with the help of all these community members. And now we're turning it over to the community, and we want to get your input to finalize and select a theme of what theme identifies with this community and what you would like to see as part of these aesthetic elements. So we're going to show you some of these designs. They are not the final designs. They're renderings. Ultimately, when we do go to construction, we do have to look at things like obviously the budget and again the maintenance of it. But these are some of the ideas that were put together. So Antonio is going to go into the specifics since this will be his wheelhouse.
All right, so yeah, we've been playing with a few design concepts. We've been throwing out ideas, been meeting with the public to kind of gauge their feedback, their interest, and kind of what they want to see on these walls. So this is a pretty overall graphic, starting with one. You can see in the red, it's just going to be a little section of abutment over there. It's not really a very focal area, so not a high priority there at the moment. Number two is now we're on the purging side on the north end of the project, and we're going to have some slope paving under the bridge and the bridge abutment. So we're exploring, first of all, what is sort of the theme and the concept, and then that will help drive the design ideas that we come up with for the slope paving and the other elements. So number two. And now number three, that is going to be kind of behind the AM/PM, and we're going to have a small retaining wall there shown in pink. The other bridge and the darker pink is the other bridge abutment. Then over to four, that's kind of the area that we saw in some of the roundabout renderings, and we'll see that in a little more detail in these next couple slides. And then the final location, number five, is kind of by Morelli Park. And again, the turquoise is going to be a bridge abutment, so a concrete facade that you're going to see. And again, the blue will be slope paving. So kind of zooming in a little bit more detail, you can kind of see in the aerial plan view on the left, the extent of the retaining wall. It's quite large. I believe it's over 700-800 feet linearly, and it's about 30 feet tall at its tallest profile. And the red is the bridge abutment. You can see the repeat slide of kind of what the existing condition is looking like now. And on the bottom right, you can kind of see that pink wall is the it's called an MSE wall, which is a mechanically stabilized earth wall, and it's basically a bunch of segments, almost like kind of like a concrete block wall that all gets constructed. So they each has its own panel. The three themes that were chosen was the maritime sort of delta theme, and that's what you're seeing here. So this was sort of inspired by some of the forms, the colors, the shapes that we find in the delta, along with some of the recreational uses throughout the Stockton area, and some of the old ships that seem to be very characteristic of this area. And I realize that you guys probably can't see a lot of detail here, and at the end of the presentation there's going to be a code that you can scan that takes you into a website where you guys can see these things a little bit more at your pace and a little bit more detail in there. There are some enlargements, as you can see here. So just to give you a quick reference, is each one of those squares is about 5 foot by 5 foot. So we're just really playing with a composition and a theme. These aren't just totally ironed out designs. They're really just meant to represent kind of the design direction that we're leaning in, and they may change a little bit along the way. So keep that in mind. Second theme was the agricultural theme, which seemed to be very pronounced in the Stockton area. So kind of went with the asparagus farmer theme, and thought it was something that was pretty unique to this area. Well, we realize it's not. It's a historic representation. So yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah, again, it's basically like a field scene. There's some embellishment stuff in detail, and sort of this meander that's sort of meant to imply a little bit of like the rolling fog banks that kind of roll through here too. So here's kind of the enlargement. So pretty large, pretty noticeable, and hopefully it's something that reflects the community values. The final theme that we narrowed down to was kind of the nature theme, and the sandhill cranes are kind of a prominent design element here. very important resource in the past, not so much now, but it's kind of a collage of the different components. So you can see here more of the detail in the enlargement. So this is kind of where we're at right now with the design development for these things. Obviously, nothing's set in stone. There's still a few construction details that we have to figure out. So cost implications will be one component, and constructability too. So really, there is some flexibility in these designs. So I really encourage you guys to go online and make your voices known. And hopefully we can get some strong support in one overall unit. There's not 33% across the board. So yeah, here's our code we can scan. I think we're going to leave this up. This is the final slide.
There's
Is
a
there
couple
more?
more.
Okay. So at the end, we'll come back to this. So we'll leave it up here. At the end, you guys can scan it all.
And the survey will be open for 90 days, so it will close October 8th. Today is the first day. And then also, this QR code, it's also printed on a poster board we'll have at the end. When you scan it, it takes you to our new engagement portal with, in our efforts to communicate with the public better. This project has a page. You're able to access this meeting today. You're able to take the survey. You will go to the tab that says Aesthetic Survey to cast your vote and again have access to the renderings and a little bit more detail. But you're also able to submit comments. You're able to subscribe to get updates on this project. So you will, when we have something to share with you about this project, as a subscriber, we'll definitely be sharing it with you, as well as with our social media platforms and all of that. But we're trying to obviously keep in touch with our community. For today as well, if you go on that website, you have a copy of the presentation from today that you can revisit and download. It's a PDF or have access to. So that's all on the engage.dot.ca.gov website, but this QR code and link will take you there as well.
I believe also our social media, if you follow us on social media, this also will be presented so that I'm sure that folks are continually able to access it.
I'm here to share that survey like 2 times a month.
Yes, we are planning on putting it on social media. 2 times a month. It is a request to do it twice a month.
Well, just think about all my public information officer for Calvin for San Joaquin County this project. As far as I think I heard a question about the QR code. Yes. How long has it been promoted? Well, we just launched it today, so there was a press release that went out to all the people that are on the list. Maybe somebody signed up for it. On top of those that are already on the existing list, we have a Facebook page, a Twitter page, an Instagram page, a Threads page, a LinkedIn account. And these are all places where you can go and subscribe to our page to get information on this project as well as others that are happening, not just in San Joaquin County, but the other 7 counties within District 10. So yes, and this one we just talked about this the other day. We're going to send this, we're going to heavily promote this regularly, at least once a week, once every 2 weeks, a couple times a month, whatever it turns out to be, but throughout the life of the 80, 90 days until October.
Okay, I'll wrap it up. Hey, there's going to be a ton of opportunity out there on this project for businesses to support us as a contractor, to support Caltrans. Caltrans really promotes small businesses. So this is a link if you're a small business to get certified by Caltrans. And then the next one is a link to register with Kiewit, register your company with Kiewit for an opportunity to be notified for work on this project. So all of these links will be in the presentation that's posted online. There's even a list here of potential subcontract opportunities. So if you sell aggregates or post tensioning or whatever it might be, there's opportunity for you on this project and through the list. And here's some points of contact. And that's it. So if you have anything else or you have any questions?
respectful of the folks in the museum, so we don't keep the security folks here too long. Yeah, we're open. Go ahead.
So the completion time is like 2035, right?
Yes.
You guys have like a built-in, probably saying wrong word, but like an overrun in the project?
Like a little bit of slack in the timing.
Yeah, where it's like built into how long it possibly would take, because the freeway went over like 8 years or something.
So, yes, so and we do always maintain a project schedule, and we update it regularly. So right now we're we had one, we're gonna continue update that particular schedule, especially as we come up with some, I hope, efficiencies in the schedule as we move forward. So yes, it does have some slack right now, and we're hoping to be able to capture some efficiencies in the process.
Do you know what that overrun window is?
So the overrun window may very well be something that is because of the budget more than anything else. The project is not currently fully funded, but we do have a good chunk of money. So I imagine the southbound will very much construct fairly quickly. The northbound, I think we're waiting to also secure some funding for that one. We're hoping to be able to secure it by the time that we are at least maybe mid-construction in the southbound. But we're hoping not to we're hoping to have shown you the worst case scenario of the schedule. I hope that helps. Sure. Any other questions? Yes.
I just like to emphasize that hopefully there's a way to remember many of us here are residents of the District Park neighborhood, and would love to see how the state of California Caltrans is communicating with the city to make sure that, for example, we want Pershing Avenue to be a slower traffic, slower road diet. So if there's any way that communication, whether we have Councilman Lamar or that just emphasizing that. I know that the hot light in our neighborhood, we installed food gas through Caltrans, but we know that there's high speed on there. So with this project coming to fruition, we'd love to see how we bring it extended within Pershing Avenue. We as residents call it the Pershing Avenue, and it's so dangerous. This is the vibe. So these are just one of the key points. It's not about this exit. It's going to be a big relief for us all in many ways. It could be a big change.
Understandable. Thank you for your comment. Absolutely. Any other questions? Final closing thoughts? All right. Well, I do want to thank you all. I do appreciate you being patient with us. I know it was a very long presentation, but we do really appreciate the input. Feel free to go online on our engagement portal as well. If you have any additional comments, we're more than happy to take them. The QR code for the aesthetics, feel free to share it with your neighbors around town. We'll certainly be able to keep that going and keep it engaged on a periodic basis. And thank you very much. And if you have any further questions, absolutely feel free to reach out to Skip, who's our main PIO. But you're more than happy to reach out to me right away in whatever particular functional area you're interested in. Thank you very much for your graciousness. Appreciate it.